Good morning, everyone, and good day. This morning's we've been exploring some different practice skills. We started the week with learning to align our intentions using this arriving sequence way of practicing. And then we expanded to include pausing and then with a little emphasis on feeling and sensing of our experience. And today we'll expand a little more. We kind of all have already been doing it, but this practicing with the don't know mind. And so all of this are something that were very meaningful for me when I first learned this from a wonderful Dharma teacher and practitioner, Philip Moffat. And so let's begin. Begin from the guided meditation. Maybe taking a few long, deep breaths as we begin. This may be a way of pausing to interrupt the flow of thinking, doing. Pausing to allow mindfulness to come to the foreground. Initially, mindfulness may feel flickering in and out. Allow yourself to simply be with that. That's part of arriving here and now. Arriving with the sound, arriving with the breath, arriving with a felt sense in the body. Arriving, arriving. Arriving at the temple of this body, mind, and heart. With a sense of reverence, maybe a little tenderness, maybe a little sense of gratitude that we can come here and now in the temple of this body, mind, and heart. staying with the felt sense of this arriving process. Allow mindfulness to become more continuous, not perfectly continuous, but slightly more as we stay with the present experience. Becoming available to what's here. Sense contacts, sensations in the body, the felt sense of emotions waving through. Feeling and sensing, being available with the body and through the body. And let the feeling and sensing come from within the body. You can include the felt sense of the heart space. Being available feels like this. There may be a global sense of a softening, global sense of easing up. The heart space may feel more open. However you may feel is just right. A felt sense doesn't need cognition to justify what it is. Being available can feel tender, and sometimes even a little vulnerable. And so it's necessary for us to invite aligning this being with our deepest intentions, and the aspirations that uplifts our being, so grounds our heart and mind. So being available is protected by this alignment. Feeling and sensing, aligning. Aligning with the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. Aligning with the kindness. Aligning with the something that your heart knows and your body knows. There is no rush in this process. Let the body and heart guide the way. Sometimes an image may come forth to express the feeling of being aligned. For me, it's like a sitting upright. The whole long streams of practitioners. You may feel connected, rooted, grounded, supported by the earth underneath. Or maybe an inner quiet, inner steadiness. Or maybe just a hint of it. Or a sense of a possibility. Being aligned and available feels like this. What a wholesome field, a wholesome ground. And from this wholesome field, we open to the felt sense in this fathom-long body. We sense, feel into the heaviness of this body resting on earth. Sitting like a tall mountain, steady, quiet, letting go of anticipations, plans, resting here, resting in the body. The movements of the breath can naturally reveal itself. The dancing sensations, vibrations in the body naturally surface. The feeling and sensing happens naturally. When the clouds of thinking and planning and wanting fades away. Feel and sense the life breath. Soften into the breath. Releasing into the aliveness in this body. So as if we're holding a newborn, and feeling the aliveness of the newborn. Touching life that's already happening right here. The shift and changes of temperature, tingling sensations, a flow of breath, when we open to our life this way, there may be a kind of a tenderness, there may be a kind of a joy, delight that's independent of whether the experience is pleasant or unpleasant. You may feel the stillness all around. And stillness that can hold the movements of the body, movements of the emotions, fleeting thoughts. Sometimes the mind wants to comment on what we're experiencing. Know that it's okay to experience without commentaries. Returning to feel and sense as a body, connecting with the earth underneath. Maybe the body feels different right now. And resting on the ground of being aligned and available. What's the felt sense now? knowing that you always have a choice to return to this ground as you go about the day. You may not feel the same way, and they don't need to feel the same way. And our heart and mind and body can know that we're living this life. We have a choice to align with our deepest intentions. Hmm. I feel so good. I was a little reluctant to speak, but I did bring a topic today, so I will talk. And so as I spoke a little bit at the beginning of our meditation, that this week I've been channeling a whole set of the teachings that came from Philip Moffat, who had offered a lot of this the short teachings that was very meaningful for me and for many people. And so today I brought this particular practice skill called practicing with the don't know mind. Well, this sounds a little counterintuitive because so much of our Dharma cultivation has to do with cultivating a clarity of knowing or cultivating clear knowing. So what does it mean by practicing with the don't know mind? And so I wanted to elaborate on this a bit. And so the first aspect of a practicing with the don't know mind is that the don't know mind has the quality of the beginner's mind. You probably all have heard this phrase of a beginner's mind. And so the beginner's mind has different qualities in it. For example, if you're learning a new skill or you have a new interest in, I don't know, playing a new music instrument, and there is a lot to learn, and you're very engaged with it, and you're eager to practice, and you're open, curious, you're very receptive in this kind of beginner's mind. And as we engage with it, we kind of get energized by it. And there is a kind of refreshing momentum that can come forth. And so the quality of a beginner's mind is a very wholesome feeling. And we all know how it is when we lose the beginner's mind. We can believe somehow at some point we got it, we know it. We can lose the sense of curiosity and interest. And maybe our engagement is very superficial. But in this practice of being present with our lived experience here and now, each moment of our lives that is unfolding has never happened before. It's always new. But we can have a belief that, well, this is the same old stuff that we've experienced before again and again. So we can get bored, we can get checked out, we can get disconnected with the life that is unfolding here and now. So the beginner's mind invite us to renew this sense of curiosity and interest, and maybe letting go of the belief that I knew it, I already know this. On a recent retreat and that Gil taught, it was an experienced practitioner retreat. And he said this that stayed with me. He said that it's not so important to become experienced practitioners. Instead, it's more important to learn to be experienced beginners. I love that. I love that there is just that kind of innocence and aliveness that gets pointed out. And at the same time, there is also a sense of a humility. And so that's one aspect of practicing with the don't know mind, is to have this kind of a beginner's mind. And the other aspect of practicing with the don't know mind is to stay open and unassuming. I was once in a practice discussion with a teacher, and I was sharing an experience, and I made a connection, an association that this experience must have something to do with something that happened a while ago. And I was very definitive. I thought I knew this, that was because XYZ, so I was experiencing this. And the teacher just looked at me and he smiled and he said, well, that's one way to understand it. That was a real teaching moment for me. I realized that I was fixated on the view that A happened because of a B. That was just a guess. I actually don't know. With all the myriads of conditions situations that we're living in, we can only say that with some measure, some degrees of knowing. But I actually don't really know if that association was so. And so that was very freeing for me once I realized, there were actually many other possibilities. I don't have to know this only in this way. And so assumptions, conclusions, particularly the grand conclusions like what I had in that practice discussion, tend to connect with the fixed views, fixed ideas, beliefs. And so the don't know mind invite us to stay open in the face of a situation and make space for the situation to unfold and evolve. And so we can allow different possibilities to emerge as we stay open and available to different possibilities. And there was a famous Chinese fable, some of you may know this, called Sai Weng Shi Ma. It spoke about this old man who lives in the countryside, who raises horses for a living. And one day, he lost one of his horses, and after hearing his misfortune, his neighbors all came and felt sorry for him, wanted to comfort him. But Sai Wong simply asked, "How would we know that this is not a good thing for me?" And after a while, this lost horse came back with a beautiful new horse. And the neighbors all came and congratulated Sai Wong and said, "Wow, what a good luck you had." And then Sai Wong said, "How could we know that it's not a bad thing for me?" And so the time went on, and one day his son went to ride this new horse roaming around, and he fell off the horse and broke his leg. And the neighbors came again and kind of shared their condolences to Sai Wong, and Sai Wong said, "How could we know that it's not a good thing for me?" And then a year later, the empire was in a war with a neighboring country, and the army came to the village to recruit the able-bodied man to fight in the war. And because of the injury, Sai Wong's son could not get off, could not be drafted to go in the war. So he was spared from death, very certain death in the war. And so we don't know. So we don't always know. Are we able to or dare to allow ourselves to open to different possibilities? I wanted to maybe end by saying that the don't know mind is not a blinded mind or a kind of shutdown or disengagement kind of a mind. Rather, the don't know mind empowers us to loosen the grip on the fixed views, fixed beliefs. It's not to shut down or simply claim somehow that we don't know and that's kind of better or something, but rather it empowers us because it creates a space where wisdom and compassion can arise. When we're not so fixed up on certain orientation or certain kind of a direction that we set in our mind. There is a deeper kind of a knowing that I've been speaking about this week, that is a kind of a capacity that's within us when we're not dictated by the fixations. And this kind of knowing, it's much more direct, intuitive, and they can manifest in many ways that maybe are surprising to us. And it can also reveal itself gradually as the things become more and more clear. And so do we allow this kind of a possibility by staying open and unassuming? Do we dare to allow this deeper and more intuitive, direct form of wisdom and compassion to arise? And so that's an inquiry for today. And so may our practice and may our inquiry reflections benefit ourselves, and may it benefit all beings everywhere. Thank you, friends. I'll see you tomorrow.